All right, guys, so we are in the lab today doing some design work, and we figured we'd do a little something different in today's video. We want to kind of give you guys a look into the process we've been going through over the last few weeks, or a couple months, I guess now, and just kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look at exactly what we've been putting into this whole bike design process. So, as you guys can see, we're in RL's room. He's got his design table set up. How big is this table, by the way,
4
Dad?
by 8.
What?
4 by 8.
Jeez. So this is custom built by the man himself.
There's the prototype, right? So I can look at that bike and go right here, measure, change things, change geometry, and put it down on here. But I'm doing a pair of bars, and I'm going to be honest, they're based off of the Haro bars. And as I said earlier, I hated these things when I was competing. I didn't understand why anybody would use them. But now, when I put them on the McCoy, and I tried like 10 different bars, the bike just came to life. So
those are the knee savers, right?
Yeah, and they just work really good. So the difference is mine doesn't have any kinks. There's just going to be a straight. This will be tapered here, butted up in here for strength. This crossbar is about 3/4 of an inch lower. And then the other thing I added was straight bar from here to here is about a 1/2 inch longer. Same width. The bar width is the same, but the straight part is longer because when you put Magura clamps on, if it's not perfectly round, they snap. So this will add some strength to your clamps and give you a little more clamping room because grips are getting longer. So, and then we're going to take some of these sharp points out. I am not criticizing this bar. I love this bar. It's great. I would run it just like that, but once we're in production, I can't get those bars. So, and then we're going to take the sharp parts out here. Not that I ever hit my knees on there. And that's where we're at. So right now, I just did a rough sketch. Now I'm darkening everything. I'm finishing up the measurements so that we could take a picture of it, send it out to get it prototyped and a price.
Very cool.
Yeah, you know, when I started all this, I was just gonna be, it's wide open, you know, and now things that we're doing are starting to be produced by other companies. You know, we see them once in a while, no big deal. It's just a compliment, but still you start going, maybe we shouldn't show this stuff. They're gonna steal it, and who gives a shit really, you know? Yeah. I mean, the whole idea was to take everybody through this just to see what's really going on. So I'm gonna blow the whole thing and just tell you what we're doing. You good with that?
Yeah, okay.
Cool. So this is part of a Magura clamp right here. Usually you have a bar over here, 2 bars going across, and it works great. But it looks really clean when you just have a little clamp on the front. Yeah. And we want to do the same on the back. But you got to remember, you got to adjust the rear axle, so you have to have slots, top and bottom, so that the brake can move with the wheel.
Adjustment.
Okay? Adjustments. And so these brakes being made for trials and down mountain bikes and everything like that, their rear wheels have a closed dropout. It doesn't, you don't adjust it. You just put your axle in and that's where it is. So they don't need any adjustment.
Yeah.
But in BMX and freestyle, we like to have a little adjustment for tires, change, shorter geometry, whatever. So we're going to make a clamp that has adjustment that'll move with it. And also it'll have studs going up through it, so it'll make the Magura brake way easier to deal with. Not that it's that hard, it's not that bad, but easier to put on and deal with.
Yeah, a little simpler.
Mm-hmm. And you won't have to run any braces across there, which looks cleaner. We want to, I mean, really, I wish I could do it like the front, where the front, you don't even notice there's brakes on there. When it's just got 2 clamps on there. And almost, which I love, minimalistic thing. But, you know, you got to move that axle, so the brake has to move, and
everything's connected. You change one little thing and the whole bike is different.
Jesus.
But I think it's also, I think we've said this before, but again, we want to reiterate that our goal with this bike is to make something that's essentially a big bike built for flatland and wheelies and even a little jumping as well.
Yeah, all round.
Yeah.
Like what we do. We like to ride everything.
Exactly.
But
right now
it's not just flatland. Like I'm not going to run a 76-degree head angle or 75, whatever. We're going to go a little more shallow than that. Because you know, like you get up to 74 and it starts getting really aggressive, really sharp, man. It's like, you know, so it's going to be cool. I've tested the geometry that we're going to go with, and here's a snag and what we have figured out. When you steepen the head angle, okay, you're not going to have enough room to clear this pedal, which I did, and I couldn't even ride the bike. So we have steepened the head angle, and we've actually got more clearance here because we're running the top tube up, and we have more clearance than we did stock to the pedal, and the rear end is the same length. Might be a half-inch shorter. So, and then the other one is once you steepen the head angle, this being steeper, your bars move forward. The bike gets big really fast. But from the head tube to the seat tube, when we are done, will be the same measurement as a stock bike. Yeah. So it didn't get any longer. So it's like we got the head angle, we got the pedal clearance, we got the nice rear end, it's not too long. We move this up so you got scuffing tricks and room to get your foot under there. Yeah. You know, thicker dropouts, all kinds of stuff. But I forgot what my point was. What was I talking about?
Well, what we're building the bike to be riding for, the type of riding it's for.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it's not just strictly flatland. It's not gonna, it's going to be for a little bit of wheelies as well. And like I was saying, dirt jumping.
Yeah. Because, you know, a lot of wheelie guys, I mean, wheelies and flatland, it's the same thing. I hate to tell you guys, but it is. Same thing. Wheelies, doing circles. I mean, that was all, actually, we were doing that actually before flatland. But wheelies and flatland, wheelies and ramp riding, wheelies are used for everything. Of course, the guys that are doing wheelies on big bikes have taken it to a whole new level, and they do the same things. But they're starting to move into doing a few different freestyle type things. And so, and then the freestyle guys that want to ride big bikes that are learning wheelies, they want to be able to do their freestyle stuff. So we're trying to kind of meet in the middle. Which isn't just exactly what I want to ride. Yeah. Something I'm comfortable on. I don't want to think I'm not paying attention. I'm over the bars or it's crabbing on me, you know. And before I snapped the frame, it worked really good. The geometry worked really good. So, but yeah, it's somebody sent me an email when I was bitching online about steeper head angle and nothing else fits and it's impossible, and he said, welcome to the big bike industry. He goes, you are right at where many people have already attempted to get it figured out but couldn't. Yeah. And now I'm sure there are people, but I think we've got something figured out. I think we got it figured out.
We're on to something for sure.
Yeah. And then here's the most important thing is I would not even be considering a bike unless it had a purpose and it was, it had updates or modifications that worked. I don't see a reason to just copy, you know, Haro or SE or something like that and produce the same bike with different colors. That doesn't. Yeah. That's kind of pointless to me.
You want to innovate.
We want to innovate, and we only want to do this if we see, hey, here's some areas that could be improved upon, right. You know, and so we see for the type of riding we're doing, a lot of people are doing and asking us for, that's it.
I know Craig and Isaac are wanting stuff like this for sure, because they're big time into the big bikes and doing flatland on them.
I know, every time I'm working on the head, I think of Isaac, because he leaves me messages. I want a steeper head angle, but don't make it too long. I want pedal cleaning, all these other things. It's like, it's a loaded thing, but I think in the end it'll happen. Here was another one, is that we wanted to run a lower top tube, but not run it straight to the axle, because there was a bike called an RR a long time ago, and it had just a straight double top tube all the way back, and it just never really turned me on. So we got a little bend, but having this thing lower, and it'll be lower in the front and lower back here. If you're doing like hang fives or cyborgs or anything on the front end, you have so much more clearance between the back of your leg and this top bar. And then also, if you're old like me, it's so much easier to get your leg over instead of, you know, like on some bikes with a high top tube, man, to get your leg over the top is you got to pull a muscle to get that thing over. Yeah. But this is a lot easier, so a little bit of luxury in there for you. We're finishing up the geometry. The geometry and the design. The geometry is how the bike's going to ride and handle, and the design is how you're going to run your tubes, or how you're going to run all your structure so that it's strong. You know, because especially when you get in the rear end, crank's got to clear. We want to run a fat tire, and we don't have a whole lot of room. You got to be able to run a little bigger sprocket if somebody wants to run a 16-tooth freewheel. So this is my next challenge, is getting this worked out with fewer bends, so the tubing is more in its natural state. It'll be a lot stronger that way. Thought about going to square tubing like the old red lines, but I just don't like that look.
I'd say, so our goal is we want to get these designs and the geometry finished. And we're going to send them over to the machinist to hopefully get pricing, and from there hopefully get a prototype made.
We'll go to the machinist. We'll try to find a local machinist for the clamps. Mm-hmm. But the bike we're going to send to the prototyper.
Prototyper, right. And so we're hoping we can get them to make a couple prototypes for us to ride and test.
Prototyper, is that a word? Prototyper?
Yeah, definitely.
Should be like the prototypist.
That's probably a word too.
The prototypist, like an artist. Prototyper. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So our goal is to get the designs done, get the geometry done, sent into the prototyper, and then hopefully we can get back a couple prototypes of the bike for you and I to test and ride, make different changes to, and go from there.
Yeah. I think it's going to go more like, I'm going to send it, he's going to call me back and go, yeah, we can do it. It's going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
I put every dream I've had is in this bike or in this drawing.
Yeah.
And every time you taper a tube, butt a tube, you know, change the shape of the head tube, you know, anytime there's milling, drilling, welding, more than you need, it's more money. Everything is more money. And we're already going to be doing it in the United States, so I want it to be reasonably priced.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to sacrifice quality. So
right.
When he calls me back, that's going to be we'll see. Hopefully he just goes, oh yeah, we got tapered tubing all over this place and no problem, all the metal's in stock, and
that would be nice.
We can do this really cheap.
All right, well, thanks guys for watching as always. As I said, we'll be back soon with more updates on the design that we're working on, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Peace.